Good evening. The news for this Monday, 9th of May. The trial in the murder of Bernie Apasami started today in the Supreme Court. 5 people were arrested in connection to the case, but now only 2 stand accused. They are Ken West Jean-Charles and Sindhu Parekh. Apasami was reported missing by his family on the 14th of September last year, and the police discovered his body shallowly buried in the grounds of an unoccupied house at Bougainville 9 days later. In court today, 9 members of the jury were chosen amongst 60 people, and the prosecution delivered its opening address. The IMF mission in Seychelles for the second review under the Extended Fund Facility Program ended today with a press conference this morning. This is a 30-month economic reform program which will end in June next year. The IMF Chief of Mission to Seychelles, Boriana Yuncheva, said that during the 10 days spent in Seychelles, they have made a review of the country's performance in 2021 and also looking ahead for 2022 and beyond concerning the macroeconomic outlook, economic growth, inflation, and the prices of commodities, amongst others. She said that they have reached a preliminary agreement which they are going to present to the IMF's board in June for the next disbursement of the Extended Fund Facility in July. Mrs. Yuncheva has commended the government on its good economic performance.
Let me first start by saying how an impressive recovery we've seen in Seychelles in 2021. I mean, we have to remember that Seychelles was one of the countries which was the most affected by COVID. As a small country and a tourism-dependent one, obviously, as travel came to a stop, it had a tremendous impact on the economy and on the living standard of the Seychellois. So to give an idea, we had almost 8% contraction of growth in 2020. And that swung back quite impressively in 2021 as the economy reopened. And we have to remember how impressive it is when you think that it's really only 3/4 of 1 year, right? I mean, the opening was in March. So we've seen an economic performance that was even higher than what we had projected, so 8% growth instead of 6%.
Students in the state schools are back in class for the second school term. The Principal Secretary for Educational Services, Myrna Hulantin, and other officers from the ministry visited Ancetoile Kindergarten and Primary School, as well as the English River Secondary School this morning. The aim was to encourage and provide support to the schools to overcome any challenges they may face during the second term. To encourage more women to take up key positions, especially in politics, is one of the main points that the LDS Women's Association is promoting. The new chairperson, Rosie Bistoquet, pointed this out during the association's convention, which was held last Saturday. Members of the new executive committee were also elected. The convention, which was held under the theme Women's Engagement in Transformation, saw the participation of a few men, including President Wavell Ramkalawan, who was there to show support. In her speech, Mrs. Bistoquet said that the association presents a platform for women to be engaged in politics, and she asked all women to seize the opportunity. The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Tourism has, on behalf of the government, expressed his gratitude to the European Union for its continued dynamic support and valuable partnership. This is in a message sent on the occasion of the 72nd anniversary of the Schuman Declaration, which led to the conception of the European Union. Minister Sylvestre Radegonde says that this year will mark 45 years of cooperation between Seychelles and the EU, which he described as a testament to a multifaceted and fruitful partnership. Together, he says, we have exemplified our commitment towards achieving our common goals within the boundaries of a well-balanced, productive and long-lasting partnership, and it is without doubt that this will continue to yield fruitful outcomes for both sides. Engaging the young people in the context of the European Year of the Youth is a focus for this year's EU Day. The theme offers an opportunity for the youth to learn, network and share their vision throughout Europe and beyond, but also to reflect on the meaning of peace, cooperation and solidarity. A new book retracing the history of Seychelles between 1976 and 2020 has been launched. The book, entitled Another Story, The History of Seychelles 1976 to 2020, was written by William McTeer. Mr. McTeer, aged 94, signed a copy of his book and then presented it to President Wavel Ramkalawan at the launching ceremony at State House today. This is the fourth book that the author has written. His son, Ian McAteer, played a key role in the production of this book.
When we first came to Seychelles after the airport was opened, he realized no one had written the history of Seychelles. So he decided that he was going to write the history of Seychelles, and that was a big job. He went to La Réunion, Mauritius, Paris, London, Boston, all over the world to go to the original archives, translate often from French and other languages to get the truth as to the history of these wonderful islands. During the one-party state, some people were scared. Our current president, Mr. Ramkalawan, was one of the few people who spoke out. And I think my parents were too worried about writing this history. So it was only really as Seychelles started to change and democracy came, and then gradually the freedom of the press, freedom of expression came back, then my father felt that it was time to write the book. And I'm very glad he did, because as you see, he's very old, he's 95, and he's just completed it in time. And this is the story of Seychelles since independence, so 40 years of independence.
And with this, we end the news, the English news for this evening. Have a pleasant evening.